Hello, 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 everybody. Wow, we've got quite a few on today. I don't know if you can all hear me. Oh, hi there. Hi there.
Hi.
Oh, yay. We've got a few new folks on today. I think we've got about 6 or 7 altogether if everybody joins. There we go. That's better. You can hear me now. Okay. Hey, hi. Nice to see you. Okay, so today we are going to be making cheesy scones. David's outside in the sunshine setting up a barbecue. So he's making a bit of noise and it's a bit distracting. So if you see me wander off, it's because I'm telling him to be quiet. Um, okay, we've had a really sunny day today. I don't know if you can see the sunshine through the window there. And I'm baking. Can you see I've been making these are fruit scones that I'm making for an event tomorrow. And you're joining me in my kitchen making cheese scones today. So has everybody got the recipe and started to get your items out on the counter? I'm going to be making 4 times the recipe because I've got this event. So we'll perhaps switch between what I'm doing and what you're doing, assuming you're only going to do maybe half a dozen of these things. I've already started to grate my cheese because I was using block cheese and it took ages to do. And I thought rather than you watching me grate cheese, which is a bit like watching paint dry, I would do that ahead of time. So let's have a look at what we're doing here. So I'm going to be using self-raising flour, but I know in the US using all-purpose flour is probably more what's more readily available. And then you'll be using baking powder. Now, the baking powder I always use, it doesn't necessarily have to be this brand, but look at the ingredients on the back. It needs to be aluminum free, so it doesn't have that strange aftertaste. This is a good brand, and I think Argo is another brand that doesn't have aluminum in there. So that's what you're looking for in a baking powder. I won't be using this today because my baking powder is already in my self-raising flour. So already we're kind of doing things a little bit differently there. So we need our flour, baking powder if we're using it, salt and pepper, mustard powder. I don't know if everybody's found this. This is Coleman's mustard powder. You can use if you like wet mustard, if you can't get hold of the mustard powder, but it's English mustard, basically. Just gives it a bit of additional depth of flavour, but you don't have to use it if you can't find it, but you only need a little bit of that. I think it's just half a teaspoon for the base recipe. Grated cheese, you don't need a lot of that unless you're making 4 times. Excuse me. I'm just going to get a drink, which I've put down somewhere. Been in and out a little bit. Have I left it outside? I have. Dave, yeah. Could you bring me my water? Sorry, I've got a little bit of a tickly throat at the moment. I think it's all the pollen. Excuse me. Let me kind of get a little bit more. Right. Okay, sorry about that, folks. So, okay, so cheese, we need our cheese. We need an egg. Now, the egg is really a good rising agent for the scones recipe. I'm going to be using 4 of them because I'm doing 4 times the recipe. And a little bit of milk. That's just to really make sure it all comes together and binds. There is like a tablespoon or so, but again, it depends on how much moisture your flour needs to absorb. So that can be a little bit more variable depending on the type of flour you're using, funnily enough. So shall we make a start? Okay, let's do this. So let's have a look. So we're going to start off with, now let's get our oven on to start off with. We're looking at 425. We're going a very high oven for this and a very short bake time. It's only going to be about 10 minutes on the bake. So I'm going to pop my oven on and then we need to grease a baking tray, which I've already done. So I've just used some baking parchment. You don't really need to grease this if you're using baking parchment. You can just put your scones directly onto that. And again, I'm using 2 of these. So 425 is 220 on my scale. Okay. And make sure that you've got enough, your shelving is in the right place, not too high up. You probably want it about mid-level. So that these don't burn, because we are going in quite hot on the bake on these. And what we do when we bake hot is it crisps up on the outside, but it still has that very soft center, which is going to be absolutely yummy. Okay, so I'm going to be using my mixer, which is in the far side of the kitchen. You can do this by hand, but it just takes a little bit longer. So we're going to weigh out the flour. Well, I'm using scales because, again, I'm in the UK and we tend to weigh everything. You will be using cups. And I'm going to flick between the recipes if that's okay. So just bear with me a second here while I pull up the recipe. So you're looking at 2 cups of self-raising flour or all-purpose flour plus 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So you're probably using all-purpose flour and you'll need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Half a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of pepper. I'm going to be using a coarse ground pepper just because it gives more texture and it just looks really nice, as well as the flavour. And then we're going to add the mustard powder. So basically we're putting the dry ingredients in first, and then we're going to add that, in your case, half stick of butter. And we're going to mix that till it resembles breadcrumbs. Or as I saw the other day in a recipe I was looking at, they were describing it as fine sand, which I suppose it is, but I've never heard it referred to that way. I've always thought of it as fine breadcrumb. Whatever floats your boat, I suppose. Let's see, where are you? I've lost you. I've lost you. I'm flicking between screens here, so bear with me. Okay, so my recipe is slightly different just because I'm going to be making a little bit more. So I'm going with 700 grams, and I'm also doing it in grams. So I'm doing 700 grams. Like I say, I'm going a bit more. And if any time you have a question, just unmute yourself and ask away. Just remember to remute yourself, just because we get a lot of background noise when you're clattering around in your kitchen. So I'm going with 700, which is actually quite a lot of flour. Okay, that's gone slightly over. There we go, 700. And I'm popping that in my mixer. And to this, I'm going to add some salt, my pepper, and my mustard powder, which is going to be a couple of teaspoons, about half a teaspoon for you. Oh, it's a new pot. I do make a lot of these cheese scones, and they are really, really nice. Not quite the same as an American biscuit. They're not quite as tender as that. But I make them. Sometimes I'll use a butter on them. Sometimes I'll use cream cheese. Divide them in half and ooh, cream cheese. Okay, that has gone a bit everywhere. There's my teaspoon. So that's one. I have to be completely accurate with this because this just gives it a little bit more flavour. It's a cute little pot, that one. Very small. Okay, so I've got my flour, salt, pepper, and mustard in there. Yep, that's all I need. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a stir before I add my flour. Just kind of mixes that up. Start off with. Did I say flour? I meant butter, which I've got somewhere. Oh yeah, it's over here. So you're going to be using, I think, half a stick of butter. I'm using a bit more than that. I'm going to chop this up a little bit. Just makes it a bit easier for the machine to handle. So I'm just going to cut this into some chunks just to make it a bit easier. And again, pop that in my mixing bowl. And I'm going to go over to the mixer. It will be a little bit noisy, but just bear with me. And I'm using this kind of hook. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. That's the I suppose it's a dough hook. Dough hook? No. I don't know, what is it called? It's not the hook, it's the other one. Okay. So that's mixing away. Brett, you got a question?
Yeah, did you go ahead and add the butter to the dry ingredient?
Yeah, that's right. Let me just turn you up because I'm struggling to hear you. Just bear with me. Where are you? There. Right. Sorry, just say that again. You're just adding the butter to the dry ingredients. Is that what you said?
Yeah, is that what you do? Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And then basically we're rubbing that butter and flour mixture together to resemble breadcrumbs. Or sand, whatever floats your boat. So I'm going to say hi to Cindy because we've not spoken yet. So hi there, Cindy. I think you've just joined the Tea Room Secrets group. Is that right?
I am new. Yes. Hi.
Oh, fantastic. Hi. Could you put your camera on?
I will try.
Just because it'd be nice to see you. Oh, hello there, my darling. How are you?
Hello. There. I can't see you, but there we go. My iPad is acting up today. There.
Oh, okay.
Hi. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. It's always nice to see new people as they come along. So as you can see, the idea of this is that we're actually trying to bake along as we go. I'm assuming you're not doing that today.
Oh, I am. I'm over here. I've got this here and I've got stuff on the side. Yeah, my kitchen's very small. So
okay, no, that's fine. Because what we like to do is kind of show what we've got as we go along so that we can see, have we got the right texture, have we got the right size or what have you. So it's nice to have a little bit of interaction in that regard. But thank you for joining us today.
I'm excited. Thank you.
Good. So this is going to take a few minutes. I always keep my mixer on the lowest possible, especially when I'm making the volume that I'm making, because if I had it on any higher, guess what? It goes all over the kitchen. So I just keep it on one. And what I'll do is I'm going to go in with my hands in a minute, and I'm going to just see what it feels like, because although I do use the mixer, especially when I'm doing volume, I do like to make sure that it's got the right texture. And I've done this for so many years now that I just know when the texture is right. And I'll talk you through that on what it feels like to have breadcrumbs rather than lumps of butter in there. But I'm just going to leave it on for another minute or two. So Jennifer, are you using a hand mixer rather than a KitchenAid? That might take a little bit longer, or it might be just easy just to do it with your fingers. There is a little bit of a trick when it comes to, we call this the rubbing in method. And what we're going to do when we do it by hand is we just very carefully just use our fingertips in this kind of a motion, but have cold hands while you're doing it. If you've got warm, clammy hands, just run your hands under a cold tap to get them nice and cold. And then just do that kind of from little finger through to first finger with between your thumb and fingers. And that's how you get that nice breadcrumb texture. I'm going to do that now with mine. If you're struggling doing that with a handheld mixer, that might be the best way going forward, because it can, those two whisk mixers are good for creaming batter, but they're not so good for this, in my opinion. So let's have a look. Like I say, I'm doing a much bigger quantity than you are, so I'm 4 timesing this. So this is what it's looking like at the moment. I'm just going to feel through the mix, and what I'm feeling for is any lumps of butter. And I'm not being heavy-handed with this. I'm not squashing it. I'm being really delicate. And you know what? This is not bad. I made scones earlier, and I had to go through and just rub it in a little bit manually. So this isn't too bad at all, actually. Can you all see this technique that I'm using, where it's just really, really gentle? I say this is called the rubbing in method. Okay, I'm happy with that. How is yours going, Jennifer? Are you doing okay? Yeah, excellent. So I could just see you with the little hand whisk, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure if that's going to work. But if you've got that technique, that's great. Just going to wash my hands off now. So did any of you, probably ladies, do like home economics or cooking at school when you were at school? You did? I remember my cookery teacher telling me once, pastry is the best way of cleaning your fingernails. I know, it's kind of gross, isn't it? But every time I clean my nails, I think about that. And I'm washing my hands. It does go down there. Right, so how are we doing? Oh, have we all got to that point where I'm at, where you've got, yeah, Brent's there. Jennifer, you do another minute? Yeah. Oh, that looks a bit heavy. Are you feeling, Cindy, are you feeling any butter lumps at all? No, it's all blended in. That's good. It's hard to tell on the video. Okie dokie. Okay, so if we're all at that point, are you there, Jennifer? Not quite, almost. Okay, I'll wait for everyone to catch up. So we've got all the dry ingredients together, and we've got butter or margarine mixed in. And then we're going to add our cheese. And we're going to reserve a little bit of the cheese because I like to put a little bit of the cheese on top of the scone once I've cut them out. And then that melts on top, which is why they're cheesy scones. Oh, we've had somebody else. Have we had somebody else join us? Nancy, hi Nancy, how are you doing, darling? You have missed a little bit, but this is recorded. Just checking as it is. This is recorded, so we can you can always play back. Okay. How are we doing? Are we getting that? Are we getting that texture yet, Jennifer? Yeah, we're good. Okay. Well, let's go and add the cheese. Now this for you guys, oh gosh, I've forgotten what it needs to be now. Let's have a look on the recipe. Just bear with me a second while I pull that up. You are looking at 1/4 cup of grated cheese on the small recipe. Let me just come back. I'm making 4 times, so mine's a little bit different. So I don't know if you've got pre-grated cheese. Like I say, I was grating it off the block, but I do like to hold some back. And although I've been using cheddar cheese, this is just the end of it, I'm also going to be using some double Gloucester, which is a red cheese, and that will go on the top. And that will just really look nice, I think, as well as taste good. And this is why these are cheesy scones or double cheese scones, because we're putting cheese in the mix and we're putting some on the top as well. So all my cheese that I'm going to use is in here, and I'm just going to drop that in. She says it's all got stuck because it's been sitting here for a minute. Let's see if I can get this out. There we go. Like I say, I think I was using about 300 grams, which sounds a loads. So that goes in there. That goes in my bowl. And I'm just going to, I'm just going to mix it with my knife. You can put this back under the KitchenAid if you want to do that. The problem is at this stage, it can start to clog together. So I just like using a knife, and I'm just mixing it with the knife. So I'm like stirring it around and cutting through it. As I say, I've got a few lumps of cheese in this just because it's been sat in my grater, recompressing. Okay. So when I'm happy with this, or when you're happy with this, then we're going to start binding this together. And we're going to bind it together with egg, which will also be a rising agent as well. So that'll help us get some nice height to these scones. And we'll add a little bit of milk as well. So let's have a look. This is actually quite hard to manage such a large amount. So have you got your cheese mixed in now? Some thumbs up, yeah, excellent. Jennifer, oh yeah, all thumbs everywhere. So hi Nancy, I know we've not met before, or if we have, you've not done one of these before. If you can put your camera on so I can see you, that's helpful, but you will also need to unmute yourself if you want to talk to me. So I don't know if you want to take a minute to say hi. If not, I completely understand. Okay. So cheese is in the mix, and I'm going to go back to my mixer and add my egg, because I'm adding 4 eggs, you're adding 1, and then a splash of milk if you need it. So let's see how it comes together first with the egg. It's back together again, and 4 eggs. So we're going to crack our eggs, and we're going to mix the egg first. So when baking, we never put eggs directly into a mix. We always put it into a bowl and mix it and then add it. Does anybody know why we do that?
So you don't get shells in there.
Yeah, there is that. You can always pick them out. But the other thing is sometimes you'll get a double yolk and sometimes you might get a bad egg. And if you put a bad egg into your mix, then you're having to start over. Whereas if you put it out separately, you can check the quality of your eggs first. So that's why we always do that. Okay. Just seeing a message there from Cindy. Right, okay. So I'm putting my eggs in there. What do I do with my fork? Fresh fork. So then the other thing that I do, rather than just dumping these in, I actually mix the eggs first. And this just makes sure that you're not having any really big eggy bits in your mix. And it's just really good habit, I think, to give that. And then if you're only adding part of this, which we're not going to add all of it, you can split it out a bit easier rather than it just being in one big dollop. So it's just good baking practice, I think. So I'm going to add this to my dry mix with the cheese. And then I'm going to add probably about the same amount again as my egg volume of milk. Obviously yours won't look this much because you're only using one egg. I'm just going to let that mix for a minute. Right. Let's have a look. So as that starts to come together, it basically starts to stick together. And we don't want to overwork this because that gives you a very heavy, dense scone. So I'm pulling this out before it's gone into a big ball because I'm going to roll that. I'm going to put it out on my board, on my surface here, and I'll pull it together on the board. Now I'm using a silicone mat because I have a wooden counter. You don't have to have one of these, but because I do this professionally, health department rules say that I can't do food on a wooden surface. I have to use one of these. So that's what I'm just going to tip out onto now. And I've got a few dry bits in the bottom, but that should all come together. Like I say, mine is a massive pile because I'm doing 4 times what you're doing. Yours will be a lot more manageable. Now, once this comes together, I will be cutting it in half so that I can actually work it. And again, I don't want to, I'm pulling this together. I'm not really kneading it much. You've got to be a bit careful that you don't overwork the dough. It's one lump. Can you see what I'm doing there? Let me move that out of the way. Yeah, there we go, got a bit better look-see. So I'm just pushing this into my board and basically encouraging it together. Like I say, you could do this all in the mixer. Again, because I've got such a large quantity, it kind of knocks my mixer out a little bit. But also doing it by hand means you're less likely to overwork it. Machines are terrible for overworking dough. Okay. How's everyone doing? Are you starting to pull it together? I'm seeing people emptying bowls, which is good. Okay. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with the way that's going. I'm going to start with this small piece first. Just wondering if I could actually add a little bit more milk to this. It's a little bit dry. Yeah, I think we'll be all right. And again, the more you work this, the more it kind of sticks together. Right. Okay. Then what I'm going to do when I've got it together here is I'm just going to roll it out with the rolling pin. Yeah, it is a little dry, this. Put quite enough milk in. You don't need much. I've literally just put a drop on there. Oh, that's better. Literally like a teaspoon. Okay, that's much better. That's a bit stickier. I'll do the same with that piece in a minute. So I'm going to use a little bit of flour on my board and on my rolling pin. It stops it sticking. And then I'm carefully just going back and forth and then turning it a quarter turn. Just rolling that out. It's still falling apart a bit. Now, these are pastry cutters. You might have cookie cutters, but in the UK we have these, they have this like serrated edge. Let me just come up to the camera so you can see a bit more detail. You see how it's got this little frilly bit at the side? Our scones tend to be round rather than triangular. I mean, you can cut it however you want, but I'm going to be using these round cutters, and I'm going to be using the serrated edge rather than the smooth edge. Square is fine too. Yeah, whatever you've got, doesn't really matter. But like I say, I'm in England. This is what we use, and I'm doing an event tomorrow, so this is the way we're going to be doing it. So just use that one. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm probably rolling this out to the height of my cutter, at least this half of it. So what is that? Half an inch? I would say it's about half an inch, perhaps a little bit higher. Obviously, the more you roll it out, the thinner the scone's going to be. So if you can keep it quite chunky, then you'll get a nice high rise on your scone. And I like a nice high rise in mine. So then I'm just going to push it down, and then I'm going to give it a little wiggle. I don't want to go in wiggling it, otherwise my scones will fall over. If you've ever done scones and they've kind of tipped over, it's because you've twisted on the way down. You go straight down and then a wiggle just to free it off the bottom. And that's what it's going to look like. Can you see the sort of thickness I've got going there? Yeah, so that's going to make a pretty good scone. But don't forget, it's going to rise a little bit too. You don't want to go too flat, otherwise you're going to end up with quite a flat scone. And the beauty of having them this thick is they will start to crack in the middle, and that's where you can open them up into two halves. So that's a sign of a good scone. So I'm going to put these on my tray, my bake tray. And I say you should get between 4 and 6 on the recipe that you've got, depending on the size of your cutter. My cutter is about 3.5 inches. Yeah, 3.5 inches is the size of my cutter. Can't show you. It's disappearing with the light behind me. So down, a little twist. And just be careful how you pull it out. So can you see how the dough is starting to split here? It's going to make a natural line through the middle of it. Oh, they're a bit too flat. I'd re-roll. I would re-roll and go a little bit thicker. Because that's the beauty of the fact that we're using this dough, and I'm gonna re-roll this bit now because I wasn't going to get many out of that piece. So I've got 3 out of that bit. And again, I'm just making it into a rough circle, rolling it. I say don't go too thin with this. I'd rather have fewer deeper scones than more thinner scones. I mean, it's up to you, but that's how I like to do mine. Okay. And then I'm going to carry on with my rest of my scones dough here. And I have got a little bit of milk still. This is just the dribbles out of the pot. I'd say I was a little bit under in my estimation. There we go, that's a little bit. You don't want it too wet, but you don't want it too dry either. You don't want it to crack. You all right out there? Let's roll this in. And I'm seeing the pepper in my dough. It's making it look quite appealing. And then a wiggle, straight down and a wiggle. Straight down and a wiggle. Okay. Jennifer, how are you doing? How's your thickness? You doing all right? Brent, are you doing all right? Oh yeah, that's the beauty. Yeah. Makes all the difference because you'll get that nice sort of doughy center, which is what we're looking for. So, a lot of people used to say to me in the States, oh, I don't like scones because they're so dry. One of the things is they can be overworked on the dough. Another thing is they can be just not deep enough, I think, a bit too flat. Right, I think you might have to wait for me to catch up actually, because I've got all this dough to roll out, so do bear with me. If anyone's got any questions, just unmute yourself. Good job. And the idea is to have it so that it's not cracking, that it's moist enough so it's not cracking the dough. So a little wiggle. Let me get another one in there without going too flat. There we go. Yeah, they're looking pretty good. So that's 9 I've made there. Let's get the rest of the dough. I think I've just got one more roll out to do. Now, what you can do now is, yeah, I was going to take you on to the next step, but I'll get you to wait for me if that's okay. Has anyone got any questions at the moment? No? You doing good? Okay, I'm just going to use this last little dribble of liquid. These silicone mats are absolutely wonderful, actually, if you do get a chance to get one. They actually have inches and centimeters on the sides. They have rings in the center, so you can, when you're rolling out a circular piece of dough, if you're doing a cake or something like that, then it's all very helpful. I'm just going to add a little bit of flour to my board because I'm feeling a bit sticky, and to my rolling pin, and then just go again. So these are one of the first things that will sell tomorrow when I go to this, well, I'm going to an artisan market. There'll be a lot of craft stalls there. And people are always hungry. So, and then they're a great alternative to something sweet. This is a better piece of dough. If they come out a little bit uneven, so that one's a bit lower on that side than the other, I'll just press it down a bit. Yeah, just even it up a bit. In fact, I might just do that with the rolling pin. Okay, so that's another 4. 12, 13. You might get 15 out of this batch. So how many have you all got out of your one version one recipe for one batch of scones? How many have you managed to get? 5? Excellent. Oh, 5 or 6. Is that 5 or 6? 5? 5. Yes. Cool. Oh, did you do double? Did you do double the mixture? How big is your cutter? Would you say?
Well, our cutter wasn't thick enough, so
Uh-huh.
I just squared up the dough and we cut it with a knife. So
Oh,
we
okay,
improvised.
that works. Okay, that's good. Okay, I'm coming down to the last bit of dough now. So I don't know if you got to the point where you had a funny odd bit of dough left over. There's a couple of things you can do there. In fact, I think I'm going to get one more from this. One more good cut. Keep putting that in front of the camera. There we go. Wiggle. Okay. So that's my 15. So this odd bit, what do we do with it? Depends how big it is. But I always bake it because it's, I don't know, it's like baker's treat. It's that last little bit that's left over. But what you can do is put your dough inside the ring and press it in to the, I was going to say to the corners, but you know what I mean. It's a round ring. So it's just into the edges. There we go, not the corners. We don't have any corners on a round thing, do we? And then pop it back out again. And it's not perfect, but it's that tester one that you're going to just test it. So, okay, so that's 15 plus 1 tester, which I'm sure husband will have later, actually. He's my chief tester. Okay, so everybody got their 5 or 6 or 9 in some cases. Excellent. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use another egg and we're going to do an egg wash. I've already got one going because I made some egg wash earlier for my sweet scones that I did. I'm going to wash my hands off first. Okay. Yes, okay, so this is an egg wash. So all I've done there is crack an egg and then just beat it so that it's all mixed up. And then I'm going to use the egg wash just to paint the top. Don't go down the side, just paint the top of the scone. And then we're going to put some grated cheese on top. So if you haven't grated your cheese yet, now's a good time to do that. I've still got to do a little bit of grating on mine. So I'm using some of that red Leicester cheese, that red cheese, as well as the cheddar. And we've used a mature English cheddar. So our cheddar cheese matures for quite a lot longer than American cheddar. So it's just got a deeper cheesy flavour. Just finish doing these. Okay. That oven should be up to temperature. Let's get my second tray. Okay, is everybody keeping up? Has everybody got any questions? do feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question. Just remember to mute yourself back again so we're not hearing all the clatter. Okay. Right, so I'm going to finish grating my cheese now. Bit of space. So I've got a mix of white cheddar and this red. It's called red Leicester. From the town of Leicester in the Midlands. Leicestershire is where Belvoir Castle is located, spelt Belvoir Castle, and it's where afternoon tea originated. So they have their local cheese. And then cheddar cheese that gets its name from the Cheddar Gorge, which is an actual place, has a river cutting through the rock. And that's where a beautiful suspension bridge is situated, which was built in the 1700s, I believe. So, and you thought all the cheese came from Wisconsin. I don't know. Right. Oh, I've got a few lumpy bits here as well, which I'll just break down. In fact, I'll just cut those up. Okay, so I'm going to sprinkle. I hope I've got enough cheese here, actually, because I'm actually running out of cheese. So these are cheese scones. Okay, I'll just mix that up a little bit. So we've got a little bit of the white and a little bit of the red. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to put a little like pinch on the top of each one. I'll show you what that looks like. Let's bring that back over. Can you see what I'm doing there? So just a little bit on the top. And this will melt and brown up a little bit. And it just gives it that extra cheesiness, which is delightful. Now, I did find a recipe for a mustard butter, which I thought sounded good. It was using a Dijon mustard and a what's it called? The seeded mustard. And that was just mixed in with the butter. And I imagine that would be quite nice if you like your mustard. And Dijon's not quite as strong as English mustard, which is much stronger than the American yellow mustard. I thought that was a kind of an interesting concept. So just a little pinch on the top of each one, and I haven't run out. I'll go back and put a little bit more on. Bearing in mind I've got a couple over here. Right. Whew. And these are ready to go in the oven. So it didn't really take long, did it, to do this? I don't think. Yeah, less than an hour. And then these are going to go in the oven at that high temperature, which was what, 400 was it for you? 220 for me. So I'm in centigrade, you're in Fahrenheit. And we're just going to put these in for 10 minutes. So I'm going to put those on a timer. This oven is hot now. And I've got 2 trays. Okay. We'll let that do its thing while we clear up. Yeah, I've always put the timer on because you'd be surprised. You start to go, I always say if you can smell it, it's probably burned. So you want to make sure that you don't go, I think it's done. It's probably slightly overdone. So I suppose the question is, what would you like to bake next time? would you like to come and do another one of these? I'm trying to do these each month. And like I say, this one was a little bit impromptu because I realized that we were getting close to the end of May. We had Mother's Day in the US, didn't we, last week? The weekend before was a bank holiday here in the UK. And then at the end of May, you've got a bank holiday, we've got a bank holiday. So I was running out of days. And as I was making this stuff for my event tomorrow, I thought, let's just do cheese scones. So you have to let me know what you think of them once you've tried them. And for those of you that have been with me for a little while doing these, I've finally got a Facebook account set up again. And I thought it would be a nice treat for, well, everyone really that knows me to do one of these as a little quick impromptu, well, a little freebie on me, really. So I hope you've enjoyed today. I think we're going to hang on for the next few minutes until the scones come out so that you can see what mine look like. And if I can see yours, that would be great too. Has anyone got any questions? Please talk to me.
No.
Have you had cheese scones before?
I don't know if I have. I'm not sure.
We used to make them in the tea room, and they were expensive to make in the US because we used to import the cheddar cheese from England, and that was more than twice the price that it is here. So I can be a lot more generous with the cheese here. But we would serve them with soup, and it would be instead of bread on the side, which is pretty good. But they're, like I say, they're also really good with cream cheese or cream cheese and herbs that you can put in the cream cheese. So that can be really nice as well. And I say it's a good alternative to having too much sweet, but still tastes pretty good. Oh, they're starting to smell good. And this recipe is quite different from the recipe that we have in the cookbook, actually. So I actually found one of Grandma's recipes when I got back here. And eggs are used instead of additional baking powder. And they just make a much fluffier scone. Oh, it's such a messy job. I always said that I had ran a crummy business, and I think it's scones that make it so crummy, if you get what I'm saying.
Tina?
Yes.
What other things have you done like this? Because this has been a lot of fun and I would be interested, but what are options?
What are the options? Well, we have done a lot of these over the last few years because we started doing the bake classes when we actually had the tea room and we had them in person, and then when COVID came along, we started doing virtually. And it's something I've just carried on doing. So we've basically gone through the entire menu that we had at Tina's Traditional. So obviously there's sweet scones, there's cheese scones, there's Victoria sandwich cake, there's Bakewell tart. We did sticky toffee pudding last month, I think it was. We've done, oh my goodness me, we've done London fog cake. We've done, gosh, I'm just trying to think now. It's just basically we've gone through our entire catalogue of recipes. And the good thing about this is you get the ingredients list so you can be prepared. And then, of course, we go through the entire process of making it, and you can ask questions as you go, make adjustments or what have you. And then we record these so you can go back and look at them as well. So, yeah, so it's kind of cool. So anything that, I don't know, I've done sausage rolls, we've done shortbread. Well, let me show you a couple of things. Right. So, as you know, I've got an event tomorrow. These are cinnamon swirl shortbread. So that's a new thing. I don't think I've done that one before. So these are like cinnamon swirls. So it's sort of like a
Oh.
cinnamon butter in the center. These are crispy, so they're like a shortbread. And then gingerbread. This is Ashbourne gingerbread recipe of little gingerbread men or people, depending on how politically correct you want to be. So we've got those going. I do a version of a cinnamon roll called a Chelsea bun, which has, I suppose it's a bit like a raisin bread. They're pretty good. In fact, didn't we have those on the tour last year? Yeah. So yeah, all sorts of yummy things. So let's have a look. I've got a few things here. Fairy cakes, cupcakes with with pig faces on, or Highland cattle faces. That's another thing that I've been doing. Tea bread. I've mentioned sausage rolls. I've done a version of a sausage roll now with potato, onion, and cheese. I've got those going out tomorrow. What else have we done? Bakewell slices. We could do quiche, Cornish pasties. That was a good one too. So there's, you know, let me know what sounds good, and
All of it.
I'll let you I'll let you know, and we'll pick one. I mean, I've not done Cornish pasties for a while, so that might be a good one to do.
That sounds great.
Yeah, yeah. Jennifer's nodding a little head there. Does that sound good for you, Brent?
Oh, it does. Yeah. How
Yeah.
about a meat pie? Have you ever done one of those?
Yeah, well, a
Is that
Cornish pasty is a bit like a meat pie, but I
is it?
could do a meat pie. We don't do pot pie. We do the whole kind of pastry enclosure thing with the meat, and so you can do steak and ale pie. I've done oh, what did I do? I did a steak and Guinness for St. Patrick's Day. Oh, all sorts of things like that that we could do. I was going to say shepherd's pie with real shepherds, but I mean the lamb rather than the beef, which is the English way of doing things. But I think Cornish pasties would be a good one because we'd make the pastry and then we'd do the filling. So yeah, and we did the full Sunday lunch, didn't we? A couple of months back as well, where we roasted a joint of beef and did all the trimmings, Yorkshire pudding, and yeah, so yeah. So this is a way of kind of just keeping in touch with England and the food of England, even though I'm not in the States anymore, able to do this for you. We can make it together, and then you've got those recipes going forward. So how are those? Oh, look at my scones. They're doing really well. Well, I've got a minute left. They have risen so much. They are so big. It's funny though, because when I came back to the UK, I'm thinking, no one's going to want my baked stuff because you can get scones everywhere. You can get, British cake everywhere. I mean, it worked in the States because you can't get it there. But here you can get it on every street corner, every supermarket, every bakery, every cafe, every tea room. But it's not true. I did my first market in December last year, and I took scones and mince pies. Oh yeah, because there's all the seasonal stuff we can do as well around the holidays. And I sold out because people can get it everywhere. They know what it is. They hunt it out, and it's like, oh my gosh, home baked. I never have time to bake it myself, even though they probably could. And they love it. So it's very bizarre. But I say I felt quite the imposter coming back doing all this baking, but it seems to be going down quite well. And I must admit, I did a lot of the cinnamon rolls. I was at a coffee morning this morning and took some of these along, and people were really enjoying them. My oven's just gone off, so let's see where we're at. So those out the way. Turn that noise off. Ooh. Okay, look at those beauties. Can you see those? I'm going to put them in for another minute because I'd like them a little bit browner than that. In fact, I'm going to put them in for 2 more minutes. And I think that's because I've got them quite low down in the oven. How are yours doing? Yeah, they're rising up.
Ours look really good, but I put them
Yeah.
in for a couple more minutes too, just to get them
Yeah.
a little more brown.
Yeah. And I think it's because we've made them so tall that they just take a little bit longer just to brown off. The beautiful thing with scones, and I think sometimes we don't always do things the British way in the States, is rather than just putting butter on it, is slicing them in half and then having those two halves and then eating it open faced. And the beauty of doing them this deep is you've got something to get hold of. You've got a real kind of mouthful of yumminess on both halves. Because sometimes if you have a really thin bit of scone, you just want to kind of like put butter on top of it, and it's like they really should be cut in half and then opened up, because then that lovely soft interior is going to absorb the butter or whatever your filling's going to be. And then I say eat it open face, and you've got two halves, so you could share it or you could just have it all to yourself. I'll let you decide. All right, then let's see how these are doing. Oh yes, they're browning up nicely now. Oh,
How about an update on your tea shed?
oh yes. Now I've got my Facebook page up. I'm going to be put. I don't know if you have like. Yes, I think Beth has already kind of. She's friended me, and I appreciate everybody for friending me because I feel like I've got friends again. I don't know why it is about Facebook. You've come off it, and it's like you've lost a leg. But anyway, back on it now. And what I'm doing is I'm actually blogging each phase as we go. So I've gone back to the beginning of what it was like before we started. The next episode is going to be putting the wall and retaining walls in. So I think over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll have it done. But tomorrow, I'm getting the turf started. So we've got to do some more groundwork. We've got weeds growing, so we've got to do some leveling and some getting rid of stones and weeds and all that. So over this week, the turf will get laid. We can't walk on it for 2 weeks, and then it can be mown. And then I think we might be opening. And if it's going to be like the weather is at the moment, it's going to be really cool. And the village is kind of buzzing about it at the moment. So we'll see if they all come. But I'm also going to be doing a what's it called? It's an afternoon tea, it's a tea party. Let me just get the information on this. It's called the Great British Garden Party, and it's run by an organisation. Now, don't be put off by the name of it. It's just a different use of the word. It's called the National Garden Scheme, but scheme means programme in the UK, so it doesn't mean like scheming, because I know somebody pointed that out to me a while back, and it was like, oh, I didn't know that. So it's called the National Garden Scheme. Do you know who this lady is? Have you ever seen her before? She's been on the telly. Her name's Mary Berry. She used to be on the Great British Bake Off. And she's the president of this organisation. And they basically, you open your garden to the general public and you raise money from people coming to view your garden. And you also can run a garden party, which is basically afternoon tea outside. And you raise money for a number of health charities, including, and I don't know if you know these because these are English charities, but Mary Curie, Macmillan Cancer Support, Hospice UK, Parkinson's UK, and the Queen's Nursing Institute. So they raise phenomenal amount of money doing this. I'm going to be doing this in July, and I'm already starting to talk to people about it in the village. So I think it's going to be well attended and well supported. So I'm really looking forward to that. But it also means I've got a lot of gardening to do before then. So if I'm not in the kitchen, I'll be in the garden. Right, let's see how these, oh my life, these are amazing. Oh. Can you see those guys? Yeah. Bit longer, I think there. I still think a bit longer. Are you quite low in the oven? Let me just check the temperature. Let's get these ones out as well. Have you got your oven hot enough? Have you just checked?
We're at 425.
425, yeah. Oh, those look nice. Oh, lovely. They look a bit pale, Brent. Let's have a look again. I'd put them in for another couple of minutes. I suppose it depends what you like, but I like a little bit of colour on mine. Let me just see. Yeah. And of course I've used that red cheese, but can you see how that's just, and it's got a nice brown bit around there. I like that. And it's got that crack in the center there that we can pull apart. I won't do this because these are going to market tomorrow. And then let's look at this one. This has got a little bit more of the white cheese on it, and that's very hot. Okay, I'm just going to turn this on. Yeah, I'd go another couple of minutes until it's of a colour that you go, ooh, that goes any darker, it'll be too dark. That's what I tend to go with. So I go for another couple of minutes and then check on it, but keep it timed. In fact, just turn my timer on. Yeah, we started doing these bake classes in COVID, doing them virtually. And the first one I did, I teamed up with a website. I was trying to think which one it was now. One of the review websites. I think it was Yelp. And we had over 100 people come on one of these, which was phenomenal. And I say it's been just a part of what we do now. So hopefully you've enjoyed. Yeah.
Yes, it's been wonderful. Thank you so much, Tina.
Oh, you're welcome. It's always nice to see you. It's like I've got friends still. But it's great, isn't it? I mean, we kind of all met. Well, Brent and Jennifer came to the UK last year on one of my tours. So they got quite a lot of they got a lot of British afternoon tea food and some of my food as well. So it's nice to kind of continue it on. So I think doing the Sunday lunch was perhaps the most challenging, but I think we all ended up having full tummies at the end of it. Yeah, so it's just nice to do it. So we'll have a look at what we do next month. I'm starting to think we'll do pasties or maybe a steak and ale pie.
Those would be my top two choices.
Top two, yeah.
Those are my top two.
Yeah, something savory. Okay, well, let me have a think about how I'm going to do the meat pie. I suppose I could do it family style. Although I have got so when we left the US, I got rid of absolutely everything, all my kitchenware, all the tea room stuff, everything, and I've had to start over. So now I'm thinking, oh, what do I actually have now that I can make that or do that in? So something like a pasty, it's like a freestanding piece of work, whereas a meat pie, I need a proper dish to put it in.
The camera did go off.
I'll do something family size. I've got a Pyrex dish about this deep. We could do pie around that, I think. I think the trick with meat pie is not having too much of a soggy bottom. Although, that's a thought, there is a brand of meat pie here called Fray Bentos, and that's made with puff pastry, and it has a puff pastry base, and it has all the laminations, all the like layers of pastry, and it is a bit soggy on the bottom, but it's like the best bit. So I suppose it depends what your view is on soft pastry opposed to crispy pastry. So how's your scones doing, guys? Are you doing all right? Are they browning up? Yeah. Yeah, I think 10 to 12 minutes is about right. But I say you don't want it too high up in the oven, but the lower down it goes, the little bit longer it might take. And these are quite substantial. I'm quite pleased with these. I think these are going to go on the website or on Facebook as something yummy that we have done. That little bit of red cheese really makes a difference. So I'm quite pleased with that. And of course, you can do all sorts of things with this recipe. You can have herbs or herbs, as you call them. You can add chopped onion. You could put olives in there if you like, say black olives. Little bits of bacon, that would be good. Oh, sorry, Brent. Oh, yes. They look amazing. Actually, they do. They look really good. Well done. And they are nice served warm, actually. Let them cool down a little bit, but they are nice when they're still warm. And then anything like butter could just melts away. Oh, those look nice. Very nice, Cindy. Yes. Oh, yeah, they've got a bit of colour on them. Oh, very good. Very good. Oh, we're all doing pictures now. Isn't it amazing? I go through my photos and it's either food. Actually, I think it's mainly food and maybe flowers or something out of the garden. It's one or the other, but yes. Excellent. Yeah, nice hot oven. Just have a little bit of crisp on them and then nice and soft on the outside. Have you seen these? Is that amazing or what? David says perfect. Oh, yeah. And you've got that crack now so that you'll be able to split it there. Yeah, that'll be lovely. How's yours doing, Jennifer? Yeah, cool. Can you hold one up for me? Oh, yeah. Very good. Yeah, they'll be yummy. So I suppose the question now is, do you do it with just regular butter? Do you mix some herbs in the butter? Do you use some cream cheese? But you've got to make your mind up before they go cold because they are the best when they're slightly warm. It's like, have we got any cream cheese? Because that'd be great. Or you could have like a herby butter and cream cheese. That could work. Perhaps a bit heavy on the fat, but yummy. And like I say, these are nice with soup as well when it's cold out, or just as a nice snack. Okay. So is anybody trying them now, or you are going to save them for later? I think everybody's cleaning up now, aren't they? Are you having yours now then, or are you?
We probably will. We'll probably have a quick lunch. My nephew has a baseball game.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm gonna go see that this afternoon. So
Excellent.
we'll have
Excellent.
this with our lunch.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. So you're going to go with butter or cream cheese or?
We'll have to go with butter. I don't have any cream cheese right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, let me know what you think of the flavor. Oh, Brent's having a go.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beth's gonna love it.
It's not quite a biscuit, but it's got the same texture as a scone. Yeah. And like really cheesy.
Yes, it's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Excellent. Glad
Thank
you've
you so much
enjoyed.
for doing this, Tina.
Oh, no, not at all. I say I was baking anyway, so it's just like, come on in, watch what I'm doing. Let's just do this thing. And I'll let you know if I have anything left over tomorrow.
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And it's so nice to see you.
Good to see
And
you.
like I say, we have got this recorded and I'll send the links out. So just in case you want to do it all over again. Okay then, guys. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
And you. Bye now.